Good morning, everyone. What a remarkable day this is, and another historic milestone for Heaven Hill, and one that's really been in the making for some 25 years. Sounds impossible, but actually that's true. But most importantly, let me start this off by saying this is really all about people. And I see many familiar faces out there in the audience, all of whom have helped make our company what it is today. And these are individuals, and you know who you are, who've helped not just today, but over the course of decades and have been responsible for so much of our success. That includes everybody from state, federal, and local government organizations to those involved in distillery production, other local organizations and members of the community, and of course, all of our employees who have been collectively responsible for much of the success that we've enjoyed. To name every one of you would take, I'd say another hour and a half or so. But let me recognize a few people here. Governor Beshear, thank you for what you do, not just for the Commonwealth, which you've done for our industry, but it wasn't just about a year ago, almost to the day, that you were out here helping us celebrate the opening of the Heaven Hill Bourbon Experience. And I was talking about that you were in competition with your dad, who had been out here on a multiplicity of occasions. So I guess that's the real reason you were able to carve out some time for this. But anyway, I know how busy your schedule is, and taking time out to do this is most sincerely appreciated. Also here in our audience, we got Chad Mccoy, who our representative up in Frankfurt, Senator Jimmy Higdon. I don't know where you guys are, but thank you all for coming. We have our mayor, Dick Heaton. Dick, you're around here somewhere. And Dean Watts, our county judge executive, along with some other members of the city council, as well as the manager sits here in Bardstown. Let me also extend a welcome to our engineering partners and construction partners in this project. I see that Don and Tom Blinko are both here, along with Nick Morris, who is our project manager, also from Busick Construction Company, as well as the folks from the Joseph and Joseph Architects, who put together this terrific facility, and were the architects and chief individuals regarding all of that. Then a special thanks to Mark Mathis, who I think most of you locally know. His role, he had a terrific role in providing this spectacular piece of property on which the site, which is now the site for what we're going to be accomplishing. Thank you so much, Mark. To our Heaven Hill project team, who brought this project from a distant memory to actual reality. Hats off to Connor O'Driscoll, our master distiller and master manager of our distillery. Anna Hibbs, who is our internal project manager, and everyone in all the departments at our company, whether it's environmental sustainability, safety, operations, human resources, IT. There were so many of you involved in this program and this project, it'd be difficult to single out any one individual. Finally, we have in this audience some individuals who are former members of the Heaven Hill team. Thank you all for coming out and being a part of this as well. So really what we're doing today, we're celebrating a homecoming of sorts with our return to distilling here in Bardstown. In 1935, our company was founded under the name the Old Heaven Hill Springs Distillery, and we filled barrel number 1 on December 13th, that was a Friday the 13th, by the way, in 1935, and the master distiller at that time was an individual named Joe Beam. My dad and his brothers were all present, and while I obviously wasn't there, it must have been a very exciting day, but no more exciting than today as we come back to Bardstown. At the time, that original distillery was on the Loretta Road at the bottom of the hill in a creek. We produced 31 barrels that first day, and we aged it in our one warehouse, which held a magnificent sum of 7,000 barrels. Our master distillers over the years and their distilling teams, including Charlie Downs, who's here with us today, built that initial foundation for Heaven Hill's growth in the American whiskey category. In 1996, Heaven Hill produced 100,000 barrels of whiskey. and we were aging about 850,000 barrels throughout our warehousing system. We had just finished producing barrel number 3.5 million, with Parker Beam leading our master distiller operations at the time. And then, as most of you in the community know, a terrific storm came through the area on November 7th, resulting in the catastrophic fire and loss of the original distillery, along with 7 warehouses and 100,000 barrels of whiskey. For several years thereafter, we turned to our friends in the industry who produced under our mash bills the requirements that we needed. But then in 1999, we were able to acquire the historic Burnham Distillery in Louisville, which now produces about 450,000 barrels per year and has brought Heaven Hill's current aging inventory to more than 1.9 million barrels of whiskey, stretching across Nelson and Jefferson counties. While we will continue to produce our award-winning brands at Burnham, today's focus is on a return to return here to Bardstown, As we announced last month, we are investing approximately $135 million to build the new distillery on the grounds where we are situated here today. But before I get too far involved in the details, there's one rather important component that we haven't announced yet. What are we going to name the site? Over our 85-year history, and especially since 1996, we have grown to understand the importance and appreciation of the old Heaven Hill Springs Distillery in both bourbon history and Bardstown history. Today, we honor that heritage by announcing that our new distillery be known as the Heaven Hill Springs Distillery. Thank you. This facility will be state-of-the-art, environmentally friendly, and innovative distillery that exemplifies Heaven Hill's long-standing commitment to the American whiskey industry. Slated for operation in 2024, initial production will be 150,000 barrels, with capacity ramping up over time to produce 450,000 barrels annually. If you're doing the math between the facility here and the facility in Louisville, at capacity, we will be producing approximately 900,000 barrels of whiskey per year. I don't have to state it, but we are bullish on bourbon. We are really bullish on bourbon, not just today, not just in the short term, and not just in the medium term, but in the long term. All the factors are in place for continued growth, and our distillery will have the capacity to have the continuities of aging stock for our great, well-known, iconic brands like Old Heaven Hill, Bottled and Bond, Evan Williams, Elijah Craig, Henry McKenna, Old Fitzgerald, and many other brands that we have in our library and portfolio. Additionally, innovation will be at the forefront of production, with more ways to not only deliver consistent premium quality, but also to develop new production techniques and systems. In accordance with Heaven Hill's 2030 environmental sustainability goals, the new distillery has been designed to create a more environmentally friendly consciousness throughout the industry and ensure a thriving environment for generations to come. Heaven Hill Springs Distillery has been engineered to minimize water use and reuse water where possible. Existing vegetation has been preserved throughout the site, and we use plants and natural systems to manage stormwater runoff and improve habitat. The distillery will include a wastewater system pre-treatment facility to ensure the highest of environmental standards and will enhance the capacity of the city's treatment system. Heaven Hill will also plan to utilize energy creation and recovery, lessening the distillery's demand on the city's electrical grid. As we develop this project, we will also be honoring the history of the original Old Heaven Hill Springs Distillery by partnering with the Oscar Getz Museum to develop the Phoenix Oral History Project. Over the next year or so, you may see or be invited to share a testimonial or story about the Old Heaven Hill Springs Distillery so we can ensure its story lives on in the Bardstown community. So thank you all so much for being a part of this today. This is a really historic milestone for the company, and we are now very shortly going to be officially breaking ground on the Heaven Hill Springs Distillery. Now, we have the governor here, and I believe the governor wants to say a few words. Why don't you come up and let me present to you.
All right.
This is a bottle out of our Heaven Hill Heritage Collection. It is a bottle that is aged 17 years, wow. Unique, unusual, totally out of the ordinary. I think tell you maybe those are characteristics of the governor himself.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh my goodness, look at that. Thank you. Wow, I'm Andy. I came for that bottle of bourbon. Today is a good day for Heaven Hill, a good day for bourbon, and what an incredible day for Bardstown and Nelson County. Congratulations on a $135 million economic development project. As Max noted, it was just about a year ago that we were together for the Heaven Hill Bourbon Experience, an amazing, immersive experience that's going to bring even more tourists to Kentucky, a place that they enjoy. And once they see what Team Kentucky is all about, a place where more and more people are moving every single day. It was a good day. It was a good day to celebrate how strong and resilient that bourbon had been during this pandemic, and a day we were all able to get together again and look forward to more days like that and like this. In just a few moments, we're going to break ground on Heaven Hill's massive expansion project, the Heaven Hill Spring Distillery. As we mentioned, this is a $135.5 million project, and as you see from the renderings, I'm pretty positive it is the Hogwarts of bourbon distilleries. A building that is iconic, that is going to draw people into the incredible industry that is bourbon even more every day. Another draw for the Bardstown community mayor that's going to bring people to eat at our restaurants and stay at the hotels and to bring more business and invest even more. All of these investments are incredible primarily because they tell more of our Kentucky families how they're going to put food on their table and how they're going to be able to better the next generations that come after them. So this project is going to add 38 great new full-time jobs for folks in this community, with the possibility of more to come. This project would be impressive and important anywhere. But of course, this has the added benefit of restoring what was lost in one of the worst fires this industry has ever suffered. And we remember the towering flames and devastation of that November 1996 disaster. Thankfully, amazingly, no one lost their life in that event, but entire rick houses were lost. And at the time, I think you lost 90,000 barrels, which accounted for 2% of the world's bourbon at that point. It's the kind of setback that might sink some companies, but not Heaven Hill. Heaven Hill did not become the nation's largest independent, family-owned and operated maker of spirits by folding when things get tough or things get rough. Instead, they invested in themselves and in Kentucky, ensuring Heaven Hill brand stayed on shelves and Heaven Hill jobs returned to this community. With leaders like Max and his entire team at Heaven Hill showing the way forward, Kentucky's bourbon industry continues to play a crucial role in our economy and in our culture. Think about it. So many people's first experience with Kentucky now comes from bourbon. The product that puts Kentucky on the map and front of mind in people all over this world right now is more often bourbon than anything else. So let's look at what bourbon is doing for us. According to a recent study by the Kentucky Distillers Association, bourbon's annual economic impact in the Commonwealth is an astonishing $8.94 billion. Right now, there are 95 distilleries owned by 75 companies spread out over 40 Kentucky counties. That is 3 times the number of distilleries from just 20 years ago. And the production levels in this industry are also just unprecedented. Distillers produced a record 2.4 million barrels of bourbon in 2020. That's the 3rd time they've topped 2 million barrels a year. And right now, we have 10.3 million barrels of bourbon aging in rickhouses across the Commonwealth, meaning there are at least 2 barrels of bourbon for every individual living in Kentucky right now. That's a good thing for the world. Since the start of my administration, one that believes in bourbon, the importance of it to our economy, we've welcomed more than 50 spirits-related new location and expansion projects, shattering a record just thus far in this administration, over $1 billion of new investments in the spirits industry over that time, creating 860 full-time jobs. And we believe in bourbon so much, we are willing to advocate on the federal level. That's why I was proud when I was able to work with U.S. Secretary of Commerce Gina Raimondo to remove those harmful EU tariffs and ensure that bourbon could compete on the world stage. So today's groundbreaking is also a part of another incredible trend going on in Kentucky, and that is big, sophisticated companies like Heaven Hill picking us. Just look at last year. In the midst of a pandemic, Kentucky shattered every economic development record on the books, and it wasn't close. On a good year, we'd average about $6 billion of new investment. Last year, a record $11.2 billion in new private sector investment. And that means jobs. On a good year in Kentucky, 7,500 new jobs. On a great year, 9,000 new jobs. Last year, a record 18,000 new Kentucky jobs for our families. And just like Heaven Hill investing in Bardstown today, we've seen some of the biggest, most sophisticated companies in the world choosing us for the largest investments in their history. It's Ford Motor Company investing almost $6 billion just south of E-Town, along with Envision that just announced a $2 billion investment in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Us. We are now the electric vehicle battery production capital of the United States of America. How good does that feel? It's Amazon with the largest investment in their history in northern Kentucky. It's Novelis with their first new aluminum facility since 1982 in Todd County. It's us building the world's cleanest, greenest recycled paper mill in Henderson, the largest investment there in 25 years. We are on a roll. And Nelson County is on a roll. I hope you're proud of what you're doing in this community, because every time we announce one of these projects, we create more opportunity for our kids and our kids' kids than we maybe ever thought was possible. Last year, at that experience, I would have said Kentucky is at a special place with an opportunity to leapfrog 10 other states' economies. I'm here to tell you today we've got the potential to be a top 10 state economy. And if we can do that, we will be the generations that changed everything for our kids, our grandkids, and generations to come. As we sit here today and think about this project, I hope you feel that we are closer to achieving the dream of every parent and grandparent across Kentucky. And that's that our kids will never have to leave this state or the community they're from because every opportunity isn't available for them. Bourbon has been a major catalyst in where we're going. It has helped push us forward and help make sure that when we're the talk of every boardroom across America, they got a bottle of bourbon to celebrate once they pick Kentucky as the place they're coming. And let me tell you, this Bourbon Trail and experiences like this are drawing more people every day, not just spending their tourist dollars here, but moving here. You see it in your communities. People coming in, oftentimes remote workers, selecting Kentucky. Our population growing by the minute. This is an exciting time to be a Kentuckian. It's an exciting time to be in Nelson County. It's an exciting time to be in the bourbon industry. Let's give one more round of applause to Heaven Hill and everything they're doing for us. All right. I didn't know I was holding up the bourbon.
Governor, thank you for the very kind remarks. I know you're going to have the toast,
yeah.
but I'll give a little print. I'll toast that getting rid of those tariffs. I can tell you that.
All right, good morning, everybody. So, a toast to the new distillery. Throughout this journey to this milestone moment, our team has worked together, knowing and appreciating the significance of this new Bardstown distillery. This project was aptly named Phoenix out of respect for the catastrophic events of 1996. Yet we toast this distillery not as a rising from the ashes. Rather, it is a return to our hometown and another part of the legacy that makes this industry and this region great. While we look toward the future, we must remember the significance of the generations that came before us to build this wonderful distillery. Let us raise a glass to the giants of the industry that came before us, to preservation of the American whiskey world for future generations to respect, and to this historic bourbon capital homecoming, decades in the making. Sláinte. Gentlemen. Cheers.